I hope everybody had a nice restful night after that, murder mystery situation last night, and hope you all don't forget to take your masks home with you for a souvenir. So I'm here today to introduce some folks who are going to share some information and some really inspiring stories for those of us in the audience who are part of our Stories of Inspiration and have done incredible work over the last year, the last many years, the last many, many, many years. So this is a little preview here. I'm first going to introduce our Senior Director of Community Engagement, Lucy Schiffman, who is going to start the process off and open up our support group facilitator and Warrior Awards.
Good morning, everyone. If we haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, like Mindy said, I'm Lucy. I have the great pleasure of working with all of our amazing support group facilitators, our community volunteers, as well as responding to many community members whenever they reach out to MDF's Warm Line. So now I'm going to invite all of those amazing support group facilitators to join me up here so we can take a moment to recognize them. And as they join me, I just want to thank them for their work. Many of you may have met these SGFs before you came to a conference, before you ever met a staff member at MDF, before you might have even found a doctor who knew what DM was. Each year, these SGFs host over 300 support group meetings, including weekly happy hours and Facebook live chats. These are based on topics and regions and host Facebook groups as well. They have welcomed thousands of group members to these groups. They answer all sorts of questions and they share MDF resources. You guys look great. These volunteers are empathetic and passionate leaders, and we are so grateful for the work that they do to support the larger DM community. We also want to take a brief moment to recognize the work of Scott Virgo and Glenda Winson, two of our SGFs who passed away in the last year. Their work in the New York City, New Jersey, and Michigan support groups, respectively, was amazing. These volunteers, along with the rest of the volunteers joining me on stage and the 15 volunteers we have joining us virtually, are a joy for me to work with every month in our check-ins, and they exemplify MDF's mission of community care. I'm sure you can join me in saying that we are so grateful for these community volunteers and the support that they provide for all of our community. We're going to take a quick picture. Thank you all. You know that I absolutely adore working with you every day, all the time. You may have your seats. I know I just brought you all up here, but you deserved it. So go ahead and find your seats. And sorry, we have a little bit of a transition time here. And while they do, I also wanted to introduce Ted Salwin, who is an SGF local here to Indianapolis, who has been serving the DM community for many, many years. He actually received the first ever SGF Warrior Award, and he will be sharing the recipients for this year's award.
Good morning, DM Warriors. I am honored to be able to award the DM Warrior Award. I was the first recipient, as Lucy said, and it is an award given to SGF support group facilitators by SGF facilitators. I'm sorry. Anyway, it the award shows how much each one of us are committed to this community. We just fight in for all of you. So it is my honor to announce Cindy Hubert of the Washington Regional Support Group. Come on up. And Shaun Moore, Affected Men's Support Group. Brother, come on up.
Wow. I had to write this down because my memory is horrible, and I'm just going to read this because it'll probably choke me up to look at you all. I would just want to thank all you SGF so much for everything that you guys do and inspired me to do. I'm truly honored to receive this award, and volunteering for this community has fast become one of the most meaningful parts of my life. Every person I've met, all the warriors, SGF's, families, advocates, researchers, has inspired me with their strength, resilience, and hope. This recognition isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone working tirelessly to raise awareness, fund research, and support those living with myotonic dystrophy. I'm grateful to be part of the mission that's so deeply personal to so many. So let's keep pushing forward, because together we're stronger, louder, and closer to a cure. Thank you so much.
I am so honored and so humbled to even be considered a DM warrior. 12 years ago, our 3 sons and I were all diagnosed with DM1. Our local MDF support group facilitator reached out to me, and we were welcomed into the Seattle DM community. And the support we received there made such a difference in our lives. Then we found all of you, and I only wish I could hear each and every one of your stories. Support group facilitators, you have such incredible passion, creativity, and perseverance. You provide and maintain a safe place for individuals and families affected by DM to share experiences and to receive support. And I'm so grateful to you all for caring so much for so many and for mentoring me so kindly. Thank you.
I'm just going to thank both of these amazing SGFs one more time, Shaun and Cindy.
All right. Well, if you aren't inspired yet, I can't imagine that you wouldn't be. I am massively inspired. So thank you so much for that, Lucy, and all of our SGFs and all the work that you do. It's now my pleasure to introduce Lisa Harvey-Duran, who is one of MDF's founding board members and our founding executive director. And she is here to present the Kayla Vittek Memorial Award in honor of her daughter, Kayla.
Oh. Before I begin, I want to encourage all of you to take time today to go to myotonic.org/advocate. There are letters in there that you can personalize yourself and you can send to your legislative people in your state and help to support the things that this community needs. So I really encourage you to do that. Every one of us can be an advocate, and it's incredibly important. My name's Lisa, better known as Kayla's mom. I've been an advocate for DM for 2 decades now. Kayla was born in 2005, not breathing, not moving, unable to do anything. She was completely floppy. And so they rushed her to the neonatal intensive care unit, and she was put on life support and lived there for about 3.5 months. We came home with a trach, a ventilator, a feeding tube, and a lot of nurses at the time. So, but Kayla, we live day to day, battling all the challenges that congenital DM threw her way. And there were so many. The doctors told me that Kayla wouldn't survive through infancy. But I just, looked at Kayla and I think she had a different plan. My sweet, funny girl taught me so much about life and is still teaching me today. She showed us what happens if you just give somebody a chance. Just by the virtue of who she was, she challenged narrow-minded notions about disability, human value, inclusion, acceptance, because she was constantly pushing the boundaries of possibility. She dismantled preconceived ideas about ability and even often surprising her doctors. In Kayla's short journey, she made a huge impact around the world by sharing her story for over 4 years on the MDA telethon every year. And the last year we were invited to the national telethon. So we were able to tell millions of people about myotonic dystrophy and the impacts in a family. And if you're curious to see that video, it's on my daughter's blog. It's cure4kayla.com. In Kayla's short journey, she made such a big impact. She also participated every year for 10 years at the Stanford Medical School Roadshow. And so we were able to teach the first week of their medical school experience. These doctors came in wide-eyed, and we were the first patients that they would see. And so we were able to share what it's like to live with this disability and what it's like the challenges. The most interesting questions ever from these people who were just bright-eyed and ready for medical school. So it was really quite an experience. And Kayla and I, in 2014, were able to go to Washington, D.C. and speak for the reauthorization of the MD Care Act at a congressional hearing. And that was unanimously passed. So it supports research funding for DM. We've continued that program without Kayla now. And last year we stopped because my mother was quite ill. And Sarah and Zoe, who are here, I think everybody knows them. They've taken that over and are running with it. And it's so beautiful to see. So Kayla's life was unexpectedly cut short. She didn't wake up for school one morning and her heart stopped due to sudden cardiac death. Kayla gave the ultimate gift to this community by donating her body. We had talked about it. My Aunt June has given her body. Now my mother has given her body. A lot of us are at Stanford. I guess I'm next. So maybe not today though. But today I'm here to present the 6th annual Myotonic Dystrophy Foundation's Kayla Vittek Award for Outstanding Community Advocate. It was created in honor of Kayla's lifetime of advocacy and to honor advocates in this community. No matter what you do, how small, it's so important. Every single act of advocacy helps us move forward towards treatments. And this year's award winner is from Florida. Her husband, Edward, was diagnosed in 2018, soon followed by her sons, 3 of them, Christopher, Nicholas, and Jonathan. In 2023, Beth went to the conference in Washington, D.C. and accidentally signed up to be an advocate. So she was also, a support group facilitator and ended up at the training, starting to write letters in 2024 and didn't stop. She wrote so many letters that they actually gave her a proclamation in Ocala, Florida for the International DM Day in September. And so in 2024, she was able to accomplish that. She's a wonderful part of this community, and she does so many other things. She makes socks for people with the DM logo on it. This is a yard sign that she gives out to people so that we can all, continue to advocate for this disease. No matter how small, it makes a really important impact. So if you can welcome to the stage Beth Feigenblatt.
I, like Shaun, have a terrible memory, so I'm going to be reading this. Thank you, Lisa, the Kayla Vittek Memorial, and the Myotonic Dystrophy Foundation. I am also grateful to those who nominated me for this amazing honor. It truly means the world to me. Most of you do not know me, and while I am not new to the world of myotonic dystrophy, I am relatively new to advocacy. To tell you the truth, it happened by accident. Let me give you the backstory. While planning our 2023 Washington, D.C. conference trip, one of my sons accidentally signed us up to be advocates. With less than a week to plan, and after I had read Chuck Hunt's powerful message to Congress, I realized I was in over my head. So I scrambled. We put together a photo book, and I did my best to find the words to describe what DM has taken from my family, including my husband of 31 years. I was lucky to be advocating with other Florida DM families who are all spectacular, as well as the incredible Dr. Eric Wang and the University of Florida PhD interns, Juan, Emma, and Emily, who are working so tirelessly to find a cure. In our first meeting, I bombed. Nerves of steel I do not have. I was able to compose myself for the next 2 meetings, and as I watched my fellow Floridians and Dr. Wang and his posse, I was inspired. I then attended Kevin Brennan's fireside chat to become more determined. Not long after, the Florida DM support group was created. I applied to be a co-facilitator. I was then in Chicago training with some of the best support group facilitators around. Meeting Mr. Brennan once again, I returned home with a new agenda. I wrote letters and we went on with our lives. 2 months later, I received an email. Lo and behold, the mayor of Ocala, Ben Marciano, was issuing a proclamation for International Myotonic Dystrophy Awareness Day. To say that we were elated would not be a strong enough word to describe how we felt as a family. You see, I was not only fighting for my family, but for 2 other affected DM families in our little town. We all attended that proclamation signing, as well as Juan, Emma, and Emily, those amazing UF researchers. It was a momentous occasion that has fueled me for the next bit of recognition for our DM warriors, for the DM community, and for the unbelievable number of researchers working so very hard to find that cure. I now realize that being an advocate is not as hard as it seems. I can write letters, I can do my best to write speeches, but this public speaking, that's my kryptonite, but I'll keep working on it. Thank you again for this honor, and thank you to my 3 warriors who inspire me to keep fighting the fight, even the little turd that signed me up accidentally. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. It is now my privilege to introduce MDF's Chief Executive Officer, Tanya Stevenson, and she is here to announce our Above and Beyond Award. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you, Mindy. I have the privilege of presenting MDF's Above and Beyond Award. This award is not given out very often. It has only been given out 2 other times in our history. And it's to innovative, passionate individuals who have shown significant leadership in advocacy and raising awareness about the disease. So our story starts in Japan with an incredible woman named Akane Hatano, and her long and sometimes very painful diagnostic odyssey. Around the age of 20, she began to develop symptoms that didn't seem to relate to one another and that progressed over time. This included arrhythmia, cataracts, reproductive health disorders, and more. It wasn't until 2006, at the age of 39, that she was diagnosed with DM. She had spent nearly 2 decades trying to understand what was happening to her body. The following year, her mom gave her a copy of a fantastic book that many of you have probably read, The Facts by Peter Harper. She was especially taken when she read that DM was not just a muscle disease, and it affected many parts of the body. So she finally understood that this was actually describing an experience that she was having. But her symptoms continued to progress. And when she went to the hospital, doctors were not at all familiar with myotonic dystrophy. They conducted very painful muscle tests, and she felt like she was a guinea pig and she wanted to run away. At one point, her doctors actually told her, "Don't come back to the hospital. This is an incurable disease and there's nothing we can do for you." So as you can imagine, after waiting 20 years to identify what is even going on and being told there was no cure or even a minor treatment to alleviate any symptoms, she entered into a pretty deep depression. Well, her sister, Midori Senoo, did not accept this. It was not okay. So seeking answers and support, Midori accompanied Akane to the doctor's appointments, and trying to understand, she did a little research. She was completely shocked. The doctor showed them a CT scan that showed how little muscle was available in her body and why her legs were not functioning the way she expected them to. So Midori began to do more research, and she didn't find anything particularly hopeful. She switched her online search to an English search for myotonic dystrophy, and she found the foundation. She was surprised to see happy faces on our website because that was not the experience they were having in Japan. So she felt that the MDF website was a wonderful resource, and it may actually indicate that there's a brighter future for the disease. So after more online research, she actually requested one of MDF's toolkits. And she read about Shannon Lord, our founding chair of the board of directors. And she was struck by Shannon's recommendation to maintain a sense of humor through it all. She didn't know how it was going to be possible. She wanted to change how she was thinking. So in 2015, there was news of a first clinical trial for DM, the IONIS trial. It was launching in the US, but there was no news about this in Japan. So in an effort to reach and connect with more people with DM, she launched a Facebook page in Japanese titled DM Info. She shared news of the advancements of DM and other rare diseases. She posted about a public lecture at one point, and she attended the public lecture with her sister. At this lecture, they learned 3 things. Because there's no cure, there's no treatments, and the doctors don't know very much, many patients don't go to the hospital. They just stop going to the doctor. They also learned, though, that drugs are being developed and that patients need to enroll in the registry so that clinical trials can come to Japan. Because without a registry, there's no way to identify who can enter into the clinical trial. So the 2 of them wondered, how are they going to reach those 10,000 people that they estimate are living with a disease in Japan if they're not getting into the registry and their doctors aren't telling them very much. So they decided to do some research, and Akane said, let's open a patient advocacy organization. And Midori said, okay, let's do that. And Midori thought, I can do some administrative work. That's okay. This is a good idea. So in August of 2015, they brought together 10 people, patients and family members, gathered to form a patient organization. But the government wouldn't recognize this particular group unless they were an official registered nonprofit. So it was difficult to raise awareness if they weren't recognized as an independent nonprofit. So after lots of paperwork and planning, on January 19th, 2016, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government approved DM Family as Japan's very first DM-focused nonprofit organization. The newly formed nonprofit, DM Family, was dedicated as a group of DM patients and their families working together and learning toward a better future. They were committed to 3 things. They wanted to contribute to research as patients, to enrich the hearts and minds of patients and their families, and to raise public awareness about the disease. Akane serves as the president of DM Family, while Midori serves as the managing director, which is essentially the executive director or the CEO. All of their officers in DM Family are volunteers. They have day jobs, they have families, and they do all of this other work on top of that. Some of what DM Family does now is to connect families with resources and to each other. They host webinars and seminars that are focused on diverse areas of DM research and care. They exhibit at academic conferences to help raise awareness and provide the patient perspective. And they share their experiences with the disease with the world. Through their campaigns and outreach, DM Family has actually been extremely successful in increasing the number of people who participate in the registry in Japan. It's a little tough to see on the left side, but in 2016, there were only a few hundred people in the DM registry. So their outreach, their flyers, their booklets, their posters have helped to increase that to over 1,300 people in Japan. DM Family is also a very proud founding member of the Global Alliance for Myotonic Dystrophy Awareness. Midori, along with other members of DM Family who are here today, they make it a point to show up to every Global Alliance meeting. And for Midori and Naoko, it's 5 o'clock for me when I go. It's like 10 o'clock for them at night after a long day, and they are there every time. It's unwavering dedication that is so outstanding and inspiring. So Midori takes every opportunity now to advocate for more and for better for the DM community in Japan. The US is fortunate, as we saw yesterday and you've seen on the drug development pipeline, we have 10 clinical trials here in the US. Japan has 1. It just started. And that's very exciting because hopefully we'll see many more. But she regularly speaks publicly about the lack of drug trials in Japan. And she urges professionals to help change that situation. DM Family's efforts to increase registry participation and raise awareness of the disease were no doubt a huge reason why there is now actually a clinical trial in Japan and will be able to move more forward. So what are Midori and DM Family working on now? Well, Midori wants to change some laws in Japan. In the US, pharma and biotech companies can talk about their drug development process without any difficulty. We hear them here, they gave presentations, they'll do the same later today. Unfortunately, that's not quite the case in Japan. Currently, the Japanese government prohibits pharmaceutical companies from providing information about drugs that have not been officially approved by the government. So companies can only provide details about drug development programs to those who actually directly request the information. And once that information is obtained, it cannot be shared with other organizations or patients without additional requests. So this is Article 68, and what does this say? It's Article 68 of the Japanese Act on securing quality, efficacy, and safety of products, including pharmaceutical and medical devices. It prohibits advertising unapproved pharmaceuticals, medical devices, and regenerative medicine products. It was designed with the intention of preventing public confusion and confusion about the effects specifically or the efficacy of any of those products that were in development until they're actually officially recognized. This regulation applies to everyone, including those who advertise or market on behalf of those drug companies. That's not okay for the DM community in Japan. So on December 2nd last year, Midori publicly presented about the challenges that Article 68 introduces and made it clear that patients need to know about the drugs in development so that they can actually be inspired, they can be hopeful, and they can sign up to participate. After her December 2nd presentation, there were many other advocacy organizations and reporters and industry rallied around her, and they united to launch the Article 68 of the Pharmaceutical and Medical Devices Act project. Midori then joined on March 6th the Regulatory Reform Promotion Council and presented to the Japanese Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare. She made the case that information about unapproved drugs should be made available to all people in Japan. She was joined by the Japanese Federation of Cancer Patient Groups, Federation of Economic Organizations, the Japan Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, and different physicians from around the country. Since all stakeholders were strongly against any prohibition, the ministry said that they would absolutely consider the matter, and they showed empathy toward the people who were speaking. Well, they're not stopping. This is just one step forward. The fight continues. Midori and her sister and all of the DM family are dedicated to changing Article 68 so families have easier access to information about trials and studies to improve quality of life. And it's really clear, as you can imagine, that her love for her sister is so strong. Akane is currently residing in a long-term care ward of the National Hospital Organization, Shimushuzu Hospital, but it doesn't stop her from her involvement in DM family. She is still the president and she is actively involved. And this only strengthens Midori's resolve to ensure that DM no longer has the power to define lives. So when she first heard about her sister's diagnosis, she didn't grasp the seriousness of it, as most people don't. Then she began the research. She came to understand the trauma that she endured during the testing by doctors who were unfamiliar with the disease. And when she saw those CT scans, it all started to become so much more clear. And initially she thought, let's launch DM Family. Yeah, I can do this light paperwork. That's no problem. And 10 years in, you can tell that it's really clear this has become her life's work. She continues to fight tirelessly to break down barriers to treatment and advocate for better care across Japan. So thanks to her efforts, DM Family has connected with hundreds of individuals and experts around the world, bringing essential resources into homes and now clinical trials even into Japan. And the truth is, she didn't have to do this, right? She didn't have to step up. It was already a lot. She chose to do this, and her impact has been extraordinary. She chose to go above and beyond for the benefit of not just her sister, but of all of the DM family, the Japanese community living with the disease, and those around the world who are also living with myotonic dystrophy. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me congratulate Miss Midori Senoo for all she has done over the last decade to change the future of myotonic dystrophy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Midori Senoo. I'm Managing Director of DM Family. Thank you, Tanya and MDF for giving me such a great awards. I'm deeply grateful to everyone who always supported me, especially my sister, my team, and Global Alliance of DM Awareness. Even if language and cultural differences, patients and families can become friends and join the forces to overcome many difficulties. Together, we have a power to change the future of this disease. Thank you, everyone.